Hello again. I'm very happy to have you back. I'm Eva, and you're listening to Connected with Eva, the podcast on human connection. Today I'm joined by Harriet, founder of Saywood, a brand built on the belief that what we wear should connect us more deeply to the planet, to the people who make our clothes, and to the stories behind them. With a thoughtful approach to sustainability and timeless design, Harriet is creating fashion that doesn't just look good, it feels meaningful. This is a conversation about care, craftsmanship, and the quiet power of conscious connection. Well, hello, Harriet, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you. You organized this beautiful clothes swap at the same members club where I got the idea for the podcast about 6 months later. They have this great initiative, which is coffee, cakes, and conversation. It's just people who don't know each other. You sit down together and you start talking naturally. And then these incredible conversations form, like we did, at the swap, where everybody started sharing stories about what their clothes meant to them, which was really lovely, the way you organized everything. But I'd love to find out more about Saywood, which is your incredible brand and its connection to people and what you want to say with it.
I suppose a huge part of it actually is built around community and meeting people. And I think our clothes, in a way, are such a conversation starter because when we meet someone, we sort of might say, I love what you're wearing, or be interested in that sort of thing. So I think that's quite special about clothing, actually. Like so often, especially as women, we'll, talk about what we're wearing or how we feel in something, and it makes such a difference. I kind of started Saywood, I was sort of working on it for like 4 years before I launched it. For me, it was kind of an answer to something that I felt wasn't available in the fashion world, which is kind of crazy when you think there's so many brands out there. But for me, I really just wanted some like easy, well-fitting pieces that had a bit of color, a bit of joy to them. There was lots of brands doing shirts or like colorful shirts. They were kind of just a shirt. And that was it. And I just wanted something a little bit more, I love fashion, but also like high fashion is difficult to wear every day. And I love clothes. So I want to be able to wear them. I really wanted to create something that answered that question for me. When it came to shirts, I actually found it so hard to even find a shirt that fit nicely. Wearing clothes that actually fit you, that feel like they're tailored to you, is just so much more enjoyable than sort of something that you're always like pulling at a sleeve or pulling something about or trying to restyle it because it's not quite sitting right. The other sort of side of it as well was the sustainability and ethics side, which, having worked in the fashion industry now for 15 years, that's still, so far away from where it needs to be. But at the time when one was thinking about the brand, but also was graduating from university, really those brands didn't exist. And if they did, it was quite specific. It was very, very earthy, not necessarily the shapes or the fashion that you'd want to wear, ideally. There was kind of a bit of an answer to that, but also just the people side of it, the people who make our clothes. There wasn't so much talk about that. And even when you get into sustainability, it's about fabrics, and actually it's the craftsmanship, the people working with the materials, the way that things are constructed. Without a person, those clothes literally can't exist because they have to be made by hand. Through connecting with the people that make our clothes, there's a real connection, community, relationship side. And I think that's really special, to be able to sort of see that in action, tell the stories of the craftspeople making the pieces. For me, it's like actually getting to go to the factories, meet the people that are making them. I just love that. I think I need people in life. So I need to be connected with people and seeing them in real life and that sort of thing. So I think that's a really special side of it for me.
I love that because, when it comes to very separate but fast fashion, it's very impersonal. There's no soul to it. There's no connection, there's no community, there's nothing like that. Like you say, clothes is so important. You know how they say dress for the job you want, dress for the life you want. When you put on clothes, your mood really changes. When I'm having like a bad day and I'm not feeling particularly motivated or whatever, and then I just put on something that I'm not inspired by, my mood stays the same. But if I put something nice and, maybe I do my hair, my mood shifts. So that's a very big part of us, how we perceive ourselves. So when you wear fast fashion, a lot of the time it's something that is just a piece of fabric that there's no connection to that. So there's big sense of disassociation, if anything.
When you can be really connected to that item you're wearing, it's so much more than just a garment, firstly, but really understanding how it came to be is kind of a big part of it. And as you say, there's no soul, there is a person behind it, but it's so far removed that for us, we don't really see that. So, when there's no soul, it's easy to discard it. When it comes to things that have been thoughtfully produced, there's a real person behind it, just the design and thought that goes into it as well. But then the care and workmanship that's in the creation and the sewing and the making of that garment, it is just so much more. And I think you really learn to treasure those pieces. It kind of removes that constant cycle of like need something new, because actually you can then look back in your wardrobe and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to wear that because I love wearing that. It's like, it feels really special. You can just change your mood with what you wear. It's nice.
Clothes have energy. Like, for example, you have pieces in your wardrobe where you associate them with something negative and you just don't want them anymore. Oh, it was from like the best time in my life and I just love wearing this because when I put it on, I just feel like a different human being. I feel so inspired, so happy. And or like shoes, the same. And it's so funny that because nothing else has that effect on us. Because this is a part of us every day, all the time, throughout our lives, forever. Which is why also it's so nice to have sustainable clothing where the relationship is so much closer. And now there are more things like clothes swaps, like the one you organized, or even clothing rental platforms. So there's no waste, especially from fast fashion. I feel like people are becoming more awake to the energy of clothes and being more mindful of it, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely think that is happening, and sort of that mindful intent of wearing pieces, selecting pieces. But as you say, then all these events that are actually bringing community together, it's so lovely seeing them interact, I think. I mean, like at the clothes swap, it was just like women supporting women and talking to each other and cheering each other on, which was so lovely. But I guess it's also like the energy, it just vibrates from us all and kind of spreads out in a way. Like, you walk into an amazing restaurant or someone's house and it's like this incredible interior that they've decorated, or maybe it's really colorful or something like that, and it makes you smile and it kind of gives an energy and it tells a story of who this person is or what the personality of the restaurant is or something like that. And I guess that not only sort of like provokes a mood, but it just gives you that like buzz and bit of energy for what's coming. And it's like this excitement thing. I guess it's like clothes putting people in a room together, and there is so much that you can do, especially when it does come to sustainability. It doesn't, as we said, it's not just about materials. I mean, it's not even just about makers. It's everything that kind of comes after, and how we wear our clothes, how we look after them, what we do with them at the end of their life. There's so many kind of stages to it, which actually I think is really exciting in a world where people are really starting to consider that and connect with it.
I love that. And like you say, the community aspect, because it is an authentic form of community bond. It's not something that's forced. And especially in places like London, in general, the Western world, busy, manic places where a lot of the time people are in their own heads and don't really pay attention to their surroundings. Everyone just complains, there's no community here. But this is such an authentic form of community. It creates relationships. It's really beautiful to watch and to be a part of it as well.
You know, when you see someone walking down the street and your head is like, oh, and it just turns because you're like, oh my gosh, look, like they look amazing or something like that. You get inspired as well, I think. And
you sometimes stop them, or they stop you to say, oh, you have such an incredible fit. And that creates a natural connection, natural bond. I used to have this jumper years ago, and people would stop me all the time to ask where it was from. It's something in front of them. They're observing and they're reacting authentically to an impulse they have. So it's creating a bond, being kind, saying something nice to another human being to bring a smile to their face. And it's just nice to have more of these kinds of connections.
Even if it doesn't happen to you, I've actually seen people follow someone and be like, excuse me, I love what you're wearing and I just really needed to tell you. And it's like, oh my gosh, I love that. So lovely. Both those people are going to have a really good day now.
Our brains pick up on this, and it's happiness. It's so easy. It's so easy to have that. Let's just be kinder.
We need more of that in life.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something that's based off your live that you had last week. Your trousers that you ordered didn't arrive. The parcels were lost. You know how it's easy to talk about when things are going swimmingly and everything is beautiful. But when you have actual problems to deal with and it feels really hard and maybe even impossible, how do you deal with that? How do you, as a business owner, how do you even find stillness and find resolution and also move on from it and readjust and all these kinds of things? Because I find that fascinating.
I think you kind of have to find a way to accept them. I'm definitely a problem solver. Everything that I've kind of done in life, it's like, how can I solve that problem? Where I've worked in the industry, that sort of thing, it's actually really helpful when it comes to those things. But I think it's quite different when you're solving someone else's problem. Whereas when you're trying to solve your problem, it's like, oh my gosh, as an independent and early stage business as well, that thing that happened, losing the whole trouser production, like you've paid for it, it's a lot of money up front. It's a lot of time and energy that's gone into it. And also not just for you, for the factory that's produced the garments. And it is quite heartbreaking when it happens. You sort of go through this motion of, you stay positive. You're like, they're going to find them. They're going to find them. And then slowly it's like, they're not finding them. Okay. And I think you sort of do go through this like level of grief where you're kind of just like coming to terms with the fact that this thing is lost, the production is lost, and you are going to have to do something. I think sometimes you actually have to sit with it and just let yourself accept it first. Then you have to tell someone about it, which is like, seems like a really weird thing, but almost like you just have to share the information so that someone else can understand how you're feeling. And then after that, I think slowly you regain that energy to be like, okay, right, solution. What am I going to do? Like sometimes you just have to sleep on it and then wake up the next day and be like, okay, right, I'm going to get on the phone to everyone that can help me. I'm going to figure out my backup plan. For that, it was like, right, DHL, my freight brokers company that I work with for shipping, how can you help me to try and find this parcel or place the claim, because obviously that's quite a big part of it as well. And then actually I've lost the trousers. What am I going to do? How am I going to reproduce them? Can I reproduce them? Will the factory work with me to help me do that? Because also that's like a whole nother thing, you're going to have to pay again for it, but you kind of have to get the money back from the clay and make sure you've got enough fabric, make sure they've got time to actually produce in the production schedule, and just work to the best that you can, I suppose, to actually get through to the solution and the resolution of it. I mean, I was so lucky because once we started processing that claim and, getting to the point where the factory are going to reproduce, that's fine. They found some time in the production schedule. We were getting closer and closer. And then lo and behold, this box appeared in a deep, dark corner of the DHL warehouse somewhere. And it was just the biggest relief, I think. Karina, who does the production, she was like, I'm so pleased for you, but I'm just really pleased for us as well. Because they didn't have to shift things around to try and squeeze it in. Those things, actually, I think when they happen to you, they give you a bit of a new lease of life because you realise you can get through it. It might sort of sound silly, you lose your trials of production. Any business owner will know that something like that, when that happens, it is just so gutting. Do you know what? I got through it. I know I just need to take it step by step. And then in a way, once you've learned that lesson, that sort of stays with you.
It's easy when things are easy, but almost it isn't, because you need to have things that come at you. So you almost adjust your brain to learn how to deal with problems, how to solve problems. And you can't do that if things are just flowing swimmingly. If something happens, you have no way to react to that situation. So these kinds of things, in hindsight, obviously not while they're happening.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that was a useful experience. And you can do that with any, and not even just business, any life situations where something happens and it's difficult while it's happening. But then afterwards you're like, but this experience taught me how to navigate difficult situation, how to react maybe differently, how to look at things differently. And that's how we learn in life as human beings, by having hardships and situations that come at us. Otherwise, you're never going to grow and you're never going to improve or learn something new, because that's how we learn.
It's so true, because, when you start to share that, everybody has a situation that they've been through that's like that. So again, like, it's another sort of real human connection thing, I think, because people start to share their story with you, and it's kind of that way of saying, oh my gosh, I understand. Like, I can imagine sort of how you might be feeling and that sort of thing. And actually it's like human bonding, really, isn't it? From something that happens, actually something really good can come of it. That's sort of the funny thing about social media nowadays as well. You can share something and it can be something that really resonates with someone that you may never have met them before, but you might just sort of be chatting and it suddenly they reply and it's like, oh my gosh, this has happened to me, or something similar happened to me, or, all those kind of things. I mean, I've got friends that I've literally met through social media, and
Me too.
yeah, and it's so nice because you're like, okay, the actual point of social media, and it's when it works, and it's so lovely. It's like that bonding and connection.
When you say social media and connection and our experiences that we were talking about, hardships and all that, when you see someone on social media that is maybe openly admitting to having gone through something similar to you in their life, you feel more resilient automatically. I spent 4.5 years working in retail because I was afraid to take a leap of faith and start actually doing what I want. And the moment I did that, and there was no safety blanket anymore, things started happening. And that's such a funny thing, because while you're living in fear and not taking any risks, things don't actually happen for you. And almost we do, with social media, you do need the evidence in somebody else's life.
It's so true. Like, in a way, we get to see all these different versions of what people are doing that inspire us or give us that nudge to be like, yeah, that thing I've been putting off, that I've been afraid to do, they've done it, or they've done something similar. Like, why can't I make that work? It gives you that and just a little bit more confidence to go for it. And actually, when you do go for it, you make it happen because you've jumped and you're like, right, I have to do this now. But also, so many people come around you and they are there to like champion you, lift you up and be like, come on, like, cheerlead you so that you can kind of get through it. And I think, it's that sort of like shared want and need for like survival and success and that sort of thing. Like, you actually want other people to do well in life, like whatever they choose. I can't remember who said this, but I feel like this has been said lots, but like if someone's on stage and they stutter or they lose their word, no one is sitting there thinking, good, I want this to be a disaster. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh. And they like willing that person to sort of find their route again. And I think everyone kind of experiences that in different ways. It is quite special that actually most humans are sort of sitting there wanting to see other people achieve their dreams.
Even from a selfish standpoint, you want to surround yourself with people that inspire you. You uplift yourself by uplifting others and having inspiring conversations like this conversation. Obviously, everyone wants to have good emotions and a good time with people. And there's a very big difference between someone who maybe drains energy from you and somebody who you have this incredible, inspiring conversation with, and maybe you share similar values. And they're also someone who wants to create something, and you want to create something. Because it's almost like a magnetic energy where it's your energy and that person's energy, and it becomes more powerful. And it's like magic. It's magic.
I love that. It's like you sort of, people are drawn into that sphere of energy, really, aren't they? And everyone's sort of like buzzing on the outside and on the inside, but all of that kind of fizzes and filters out to people. You could be doing anything. I love talking to people, and I might be, I don't know, in a cafe or in a shop or something like that. And you can end up just having this really wonderful conversation with the shop assistant or the person behind the counter or anything like that. And you go away from it and you're just like, wow, that really made my day. My partner always jokes because sometimes I'll come home and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to tell you about this person that I met. And he's like, did you just meet another person in a shop? And I'm like, yeah, but like we just had this amazing conversation and then they said this and I said this and da, da, da. And you like go through this whole conversation. It's like that thing has energized you for the day. And I hope that it energizes that other person, but it's just like made such an impression on you that also you want to share that and tell someone else about it. Things that can sort of seem potentially insignificant are actually really significant in those times. And it's that energy, isn't it? It's just that buzz that goes through everyone.
I think about 10 years ago, that's 10 years ago, I was going to a photo shoot and I was buying my coffee, right? The most mundane thing ever. The barista did a little heart and just gave it to me. And it was their energy and the way they said, have a lovely day. And this was like a little special thing. I still remember this 10 years on. And it's insane because it was that person's energy and how you read the energy, how it transitions to you, how you almost like soak it up. It's so powerful. It's crazy.
I suppose you don't always know, but like that could have totally changed your outlook on the shoot that day as well. You could have just had so much of a better day on that shoot for it. And maybe that shoot becomes so much more memorable. It's that like butterfly effect in a way, isn't it? Of each thing and interaction that happens.
I think that's a good thing to remind ourselves to be kinder in that kind of way where you do something small for someone, whether it's open the door for someone or just smile. And if anything is going to make you happier yourself, you don't know how this person will react. You don't know how they'll leave the situation. It might change their life. It could literally change their life. The power of like a good gesture, a kind gesture is so powerful. It's so powerful.
Good energy, kind gesture, pass it on. It's that like a pay it forward kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows where that goes? I mean, in a way, that's the beauty of it. You don't actually get to see the end of it.
I was talking to someone about the fact that not every interaction needs to be something long, something that takes, days or years or a lifetime. You can have an interaction that's one day, especially, in my work, and that's it. And you don't need it to be anything more. And you just enjoy it and accept it for what it is. Because sometimes I will be like, I had such a great connection with these people and then I never see them again. In this industry, I can't see every single person I work with every day, all the time again.
But your paths cross as well. Even like really good friends who you cannot see them for a whole year, but when you catch up, it's like you saw them yesterday. I guess it can be the same thing. It happens in a different way, and maybe your paths just cross. I was interviewed for something by this guy, and I remember the interview. It was like an hour we spoke for, and it was such a lovely conversation. I really enjoyed it. We emailed afterwards, and the thing that it was for basically ended up not happening, and he left and that sort of thing. So it was one of those things that sort of dissipates. But then I met this person who, she'd been working at this company before, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I think I remember that. And I was like, I got interviewed by this person, and it was really lovely. And she was like, oh, they're so nice. And we just had this lovely conversation about it all. And it's like something that you literally can't ever imagine thinking about again becomes like a real point of connection for you and someone else or something like that. And then they were meeting that person. They were like, oh, do you remember them? And it was just like really lovely. Like, what a nice memory to bring back up, and sort of story and connection with someone that then, all of that gets passed on as well. So yeah.
There's a word for that, right? Serendipity.
Ah, yes.
I feel like that's how we should look at these kinds of things. And I also feel like this point would be a very good ending to the episode. Serendipity. When you have an interaction, you accept it for what it is, and you enjoy it, and you're really present in the moment, and just let things happen naturally. Maybe you'll see someone in 5 years, maybe in 5 days. That's one of the things about connection. It has to happen naturally, and you have to be present. So yeah, 2 things.
I love that. It's so true. You just have to live in that moment.
And I'll never forget, when I left the event that you organized, I was feeling so recharged and so happy because, again, we talk about this energy and how powerful it is when you have these meaningful interactions and acts of kindness. Let's be more present. Let's be kinder to each other. Connect more authentically.